Hey guys, True Grit Scott, Bulletproof Saws and BLUESAWS.com. Hope everybody's doing all right. I don't know how this video's going to be because I'm in an awkward spot and the lighting here is bright enough, but it's kind of harsh. Anyhow, not going to make me look with my natural beauty. You won't see. I am doing. I had a lot of people ask me about this, and it's the bushings. Everybody calls them shim, but when you slip a tube onto something, I tend to think of it as a brass bushing. Uh, Bushing for the chain tensioners, and I don't know if you could see that, and maybe I could come over here and try to get it focused on this little guy here. Let me hold it with my thumb, maybe. Let's see if I can focus. So that's with a little tiny bushing on it, if it's possible for you to see it. I'm hitting the thing to try to make it focus. I don't know if it is. It's a little bit of nothing. It's just that little tiny guy right there, if you could see it. So anyhow, let's see, we'll get you focused back over there maybe. And I've posted it in the comments and threads. K&S Metals has these little packages, and I think it's for craft people for certain things. And it's round brass tube number 8129. And I'm not 100% sure if this is the one I used in the past. I asked my buddy Greg Chappie. You guys see him on all the Farmertec board Facebook forums. He does the really cool chainsaw milling. He's milling giant slabs of black walnut that are, 4 foot wide and stuff like that. So I hit Greg and said, hey, I can't remember what tube we need. And he told me. But for some reason, I thought this tube seemed a little bit different than the little piece that I had that I was using in the past. I don't know. And all you get is a, 12-inch, 18-inch piece of, how long is that? 3/16 by 14, doesn't tell me how long it is though. Anyhow, it's not that long of brass tubing, and all I'm doing is I'm putting in my vise. I got a piece of inner tube. Maybe I could cut over here without putting my back to you guys. And the way I do it is I put it in the vise. Got to be careful. It's brass. It will crush very easily. I throw it in the vise. I use a tubing cutter. Some of the problems with doing this is that it's hard to use the tubing cutter to cut as small as you want it to be. This one, which way works better? That way might work better, actually. Just because the way it's set up, it's hard to cut that little tiny piece out. And I wind up having to file it a little bit. So all I do is I, go around a few times with the tubing cutter, tighten it each time. If you've never used one, you tighten it, and it's actually compression that does the cutting. I just spin it around, and half the time I spin it, and then all of a sudden it pops off and rolls across the floor, and I never see it again. So out of a piece of tubing, I lose a good amount of them. But I try to be careful as I think I'm getting close, and I'm not tightening it crazy tight, so I hopefully don't lose it on the video in front of you guys. But that would be normal if I did. God damn it. You already know what happened. Here, I'm going to put this the other way because I think I have a better chance of catching it if I do it this way. It cuts better the other way, but this way, I usually stand over here. I usually have the vise set up a little bit different too. This is nothing. This is brain dead, nothing work, but apparently it's too complex for me, and I lose all the little pieces of tubing. I'm going to get fired over this. One can dream. And I'm going so easy here, guys. It shouldn't take this long. It's taking me this long because I'm scared of losing another one in front of you. I got it. Oh, I had it. I swear I had it. I didn't think I dropped it. Oh, boy, I lose that one too. I don't even know how I lost that one. I thought I had it right in my hand. Now I'm looking for the first one. Oh, God, guys, we're going to have to do this again. This is not too impressive. All right, guys. It's because I'm on video and I'm shy. I don't know how I did that. I felt it in my hand and I didn't see it fall. All right, guys. Maybe we'll get it this time. Man, this is going to pop off again. Oh, come on. You're going to do it to me. I know it. Oh, got that one. All right. I actually caught that one. So what happens is that bushing, I should get my calipers, but it has to be so small because it's just going over the nib on the end of this. And if it's too long, it obviously won't fit in there. I guess you can make it too short, but then there's not really going to be a whole heck of a lot of material for it to fit on. So when they're too long, what I do is I'll throw them on here, and I made this one way too long. But before that, the tubing cutter compresses the metal. So now the opening gets rounded off and in, so I can't get it in. So what I wind up doing is I'll take my pliers, throw that down so I could grab it. My hands don't work the best, so it's hard for me to handle little stuff like this. And I'll grab it in, these are the needle nose, and I'll run. I have a little grinder here, and these little cheap, these are $20 grinders, and they Dremels, cordless Dremel, whatever you want to call them, from Walmart. And I got a bunch of different ones. I got smaller ones, and I got another smaller one, and they're so cheap. You know, I have better grinders and pencil grinders and angle attachments and all that, but it's real easy to pick these guys up and use these for things. But anyhow, I have a little carbide bit that maybe you guys could see this too, with a point on it, and I'll just go in and ream that out a little bit. And I don't know a better way to ream it out than doing this, just to open it back up. And then it may, if it's going to be good to me, fit over the end. Boy, I hate messing with little fiddly things like this. And if it's real close like that, what I'll do sometimes is I'll set it up on the vise, and I'll find something to tap it in with. Doesn't have to be anything great, just be the screwdriver here. And hopefully not send it flying across the room. There we go. And then I'll just take a raker file and knock it down to size. And while it's sitting in there so I could hold it, because it's too small to even hold, that's the problem with working with this little fiddly stuff, is really difficult to hold. For me, at least. Somebody else might be able to hold it better. And if you grab it in pliers, it's real easy to crush and deform it. So you have to be real careful when you're holding it in pliers. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a bunch of these tonight. Not a bunch. I'm going to make maybe 5 of them because I'll get tired of making them. Not that it's so taxing. I'll get bored with making them. I'll make 5 of them, and I'll take the Farmertec chain tensioner kit, which isn't the best chain tensioner in the world, and I'll put them up on BLUESAWS maybe tomorrow. That way, you guys, if you don't have a tubing cutter, you don't want to order a big piece, not a big piece, a piece of brass tube, you know, hey, you give me the couple bucks to make these. And you see, it's real easy. Anybody can do this. I'm not saying you guys can't. This isn't something complex that you can't do. This is something you could definitely do. I just don't know if you want to, and I'll have them available. That being said, I have a couple caveats on this. I don't know that this is the solution to everything with chain tensioner problems on Farmertec 660s. It helps. It helps a bunch, and a lot of guys do well with it. But the whole odd thing about the whole chain tensioner thing, and I've said it before, is I have guys that have ran those chain tensioners for 2-3 years. They never have a problem. Then I have other guys who have problems constantly with them. And I don't know if it's a usage thing. I don't know if this pot metal had more dirt and aluminum cans thrown in it than the last batch of pot metal? I'm not sure. They all look the same to me. I can't see any major differences, and I don't know why some work better than others. And I've had this conversation where what I suspect, because even the OEM 660s, they have the same amount of slop in them. And the guys that I'm telling you are ruining chain tensioners, they're ruining OEM ones also. Now, there's two versions of the OEM chain tensioner from steel. And I've only noticed this lately. There's the black one. We've gotten the black one for years. It was always the same, never thought much about it. But lately, I've been seeing that same chain tensioner from steel under the same part number with a silver crown gear. Don't know if it's better or worse. Don't have all the information whether the guys that are ruining them. Woo! Got to watch where you sit around here. Almost dremeled my ass. But I don't know if there's a difference, and those are the ones that aren't good, and steel maybe lowered the quality of the metal on them. I don't know. So I'm just telling you there are two versions of it, and I don't have an opinion on it yet because I just don't know. I don't know why they're lasting, but what I'm thinking is the pedestal that the crown gear sits on. I think that might be the problem, that it's off or it's loose or something, but I can't prove this out. And again, I'm going to go back to Greg Chappie, who I was talking about earlier. He just got a brand new, I think it didn't have a tank of gas through it, OEM MS660 given to him. And I asked him two questions. I had a customer hit me and say, hey, the clone 660s vibrate a lot more than the other 660s. And to be honest with you guys, I think they vibrate a little bit more, but not enough that I really notice. Maybe I'm just not, I can't feel my hands anyway. So maybe it's just something that I don't notice. I know running an 070 vibrates me to death, and I noticed that. And I noticed that a lot of steel saws have not as good AV as a lot of Husky saws, even in the clones. The Husky AV has just been better. I'm not talking the newer steels. I know the 500i and some of the newer saws have better AV. But in the 44, 46, 66, the AV wasn't as good as the 372s. That's all there is to, or the 395s. Those are like Cadillacs. So I'm going to ask him if he notices a difference, because he's got a brand new MS660 there, and how big of a difference is it? He probably can't feel his hands either. Neither of us are young guys. But just to get an idea, and I don't know how. I'm going to have him put the calipers on that OEM 660 and see if we could figure out if there's a difference, because Farmertec's gotten pretty consistent with these saws. And like I said, the last set of cases that I'm doing on this build now, that's taking me way too long, it was perfect. No swarf, clean, looked like they washed it before they gave it to me. And that wasn't the case, 3, 4, 5 years ago. So I'm super curious about it. If there's some kind of setup difference, but shimming does seem to help a lot of people prolong these cheap tensioners. And I mean, it's the difference between, the steel tensioner's $40, but if you're stripping that out too, and the bushing helps you in that case, it's worth doing for a little bit of nothing. Never thought I'd talk about these as much as we just talked. Again, I ramble, can't help it. Don't know what else I wanted to tell you. There was something else. Oh, in one of the other videos, I told you when I make the block off plates for pressure testing, I use aluminum. And like I said, it's just scraps of aluminum plate is super easy to work with. This one's a quarter. This one's a little bit bigger than a quarter, and I'll use either of them. And I kind of like the aluminum. It's obviously dead flat, and it works really well. And God, I have those block off plates forever with just inner tube. I'm going to work on a couple of these, get them up online for you guys, for the guys who don't want to fiddle around like dummies, like I am. I think that was it. That I'll have some other videos coming out this week. I'm still catching up on saw builds. There's still a ton of them, and if I haven't gotten back to you, just understand that I'm a little bit overwhelmed. I've been putting out as many saws as I can, as quick as I can, and I'm getting caught up now that it's New Year's. January should be our slow month. It traditionally, after everybody goes nuts for Christmas and spends way more money than they should have, it generally slows down a little bit, but it hasn't yet which seems odd to me because, you know, we're into the new year now and I thought it was going to be dead slow. We even put our eBay shop on vacation mode for a period there, and it didn't stop people from ordering. So good problem to have, but still a problem. Anyhow, guys, I'm not going to talk to you anymore. I'm going to work on these, get a couple of these done, get them listed. True Grit Scott, Bulletproof Saws at BLUESAWS.com. Thanks for watching and stay safe.